Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we travel back, far beyond the age of the dinosaurs, to a forgotten world where strange and terrifying creatures ruled the land and sea. This is not the Earth you know. It is an Earth millions of years older. An Earth where giant scorpions prowled the shorelines, where fish with armored jaws ruled the oceans, and where early reptiles took their first steps into a dangerous, untamed land. These were the rulers before the dinosaurs, and though they are long vanished, their story still lingers in stone, in fossils, and the quiet whispers of time. Together, we will walk slowly through their shadows, not with fear, but with curiosity, learning how life itself experimented, adapted, and sometimes failed long before the age of thunder lizards ever began. So find a comfortable place, let your body rest, and allow your mind to drift. This journey is not one of urgency, but of discovery, a gentle unfolding of secrets from the deep past. And if you enjoy exploring these hidden chapters of our planet's story, I invite you to support this growing community of dreamers and explorers. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who loves science as much as you do, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear which ancient creature captures your imagination the most. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss another journey through time. Now, let us begin, and step softly into the world before the dinosaurs. Before the great thunder lizards ever walked the earth, stranger beings ruled the land and sea. You drift back to a time of shifting skies, where the air is thick with mystery, and the oceans are alive with forms both graceful and grotesque. This is the first breath of your journey, the soft opening of a curtain on an alien Earth. Here, the world is young, unsettled, and waiting to be born again and again. You close your eyes, and the world around you fades. The familiar hum of modern life grows softer, softer still, until it slips away like mist retreating before the warmth of dawn. In its place, a deeper silence rises, a silence that belongs not to your time, but to the earliest whispers of the Earth's memory. You find yourself standing at the threshold of an ancient world. The air is heavy, filled with warmth and a thickness you do not know from the present day. You draw in a breath, and it tastes faintly of minerals, of volcanoes, of oceans just learning the rhythm. This is a world before the dinosaurs, before the creatures you imagine when you think of prehistory. This is the forgotten dawn. The ground beneath your feet is not stable. It shivers, groans, and drifts like pieces of an unfinished puzzle. Continents are not yet as you know them. They float across the surface of the planet like slow, restless rafts, colliding, tearing apart, merging again in endless cycles. Each movement reshapes the Earth's face, raising mountains and tearing open new seas. You sense the planet's restlessness, a living body in constant motion. Above, the sky glows with a strange tint. It is a little dimmer than your familiar sunlit blue. Clouds gather in heavy swirls, their undersides glowing red and gold from the fiery breath of volcanoes below. Ash drifts lazily through the air, settling onto rocks and rivers, reminding you that this Earth is still molten at its heart, still raw and forming. And yet, even in this restless chaos, life is stirring. You step closer to the water's edge. Before you, an ocean stretches wide and endless, its surface rippling in colors of deep green and black. Beneath the waves, a hidden kingdom moves. At first, it looks empty, but then you begin to notice faint shapes gliding just beneath the surface. Creatures without names you have ever spoken drift like shadows, their bodies soft and boneless, their movements slow and hypnotic. The earliest animals are delicate, as if carved from water itself. Some look like ribbons, drifting and curling in the currents. Others float like tiny bells, pulsing with light as though they carry stars inside their fragile forms. These are the jellyfish-like beings of deep time, fragile pioneers in a dangerous world. Though they seem simple, they carry the first designs of life that will echo across ages. In their transparency, you see the first stories of survival. You lean closer and your eyes adjust. The water reveals more. There are trilobites, creatures armored in hard shells, their bodies segmented like beads on a string. They crawl along the ocean floor with many tiny legs, their eyes compound and glinting like jewels. Trilobites are among the first great travelers of this early sea, explorers of sediment and sand. They will thrive for millions upon millions of years, longer than the dinosaurs themselves, and then vanish completely, leaving behind only their fossils as clues to their rain dot. As you watch, a trilobite scuttles across a bed of strange plants, swaying in the shallow water. Except these are not plants as you know them. They are early forms of seaweed, mats of algae, and other primitive growths that carpet the seabed in muted greens and browns. The world's oxygen, the air you breathe even now, begins here in these silent factories of sunlight. The algae capture light, split water, and release the invisible breath that fills the sky with possibility. Without them, there would be no journey forward. Time seems to ripple, and the ocean deepens before your eyes. You notice fish primitive at first, boneless, their mouths simple and soft. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, some develop jaws. A jaw, a simple hinge, yet a revolution. With it comes the ability to grasp, to bite, to hold. It is one of the great turning points of life, hidden quietly beneath waves millions of years ago. You watch as one of these jawed fish darts forward, seizing a smaller creature with surprising speed. A shiver runs through you as you realize how survival, in all its beauty and cruelty, begins here with this small motion. And still, the earth is changing. You lift your gaze from the water, and the land draws your attention once more. Volcanoes puncture the horizon like blackened teeth, smoke curling upward into the strange sky. Lava flows carve rivers of fire that harden into rock, shaping the surface anew. It is harsh, but it is also a kind of creation. The land, though barren and raw, whispers of what it may one day hold: forests, rivers, creatures that walk instead of swim. But for now, it waits in silence, scorched and empty. The air you breathe here is not quite like the air of your world. It is richer in carbon dioxide, heavier in texture. The balance of gases has not yet shifted fully to what you know. The oxygen that supports great beasts and endless forests is still being prepared, slowly built by the work of algae in the seas. Every breath you take feels like borrowing from the future, inhaling air that is still learning its recipe. You sit at the edge of this world, letting your thoughts settle. What strikes you most is the patience of it all. Life here does not rush. It experiments, hesitates, tries again. Every new shape and armored shell, a flexible fin, a biting jaw, is like a tentative brushstroke on the canvas of the earth. Some strokes remain, repeated and refined. Others fade, forgotten. But all are part of the slow unfolding of possibility. As you drift further into this meditative vision, you notice something stirring deep within yourself. Perhaps it is the recognition that your own body, your own breath, carries the echoes of this dawn. The calcium in your bones once drifted in seas like these. The iron in your blood once shimmered in volcanic rock. You are not separate from this ancient world. You are its continuation, its living memory. In this realization, you feel both, small and infinite at once. Night begins to fall across this early earth. The sky darkens, and stars reveal themselves familiar, yet not the same as those above you now. Constellations have not yet taken the shapes you know. The stars shift, slightly differently, for the continents below them are drifting, carrying the surface of the planet to new futures. You lie back, feeling the warmth of volcanic ground beneath you. And let the stars remind you that time itself is a river, always flowing, always changing. The ocean beside you grows restless with the pull of the moon. Yes, even now, the moon is here, though closer than in your present world. Its pull is stronger, tides rising and falling with greater force. The rhythm of the moon's gravity stirs the seas, mixing nutrients, shaping the cycles of life. Without this partnership, Earth's story would unfold differently. The moon has always been a companion, guiding the heartbeat of oceans across billions of nights. You feel the edges of sleep drawing nearer, as if the rhythm of this forgotten dawn is rocking you gently. The creatures of the sea continue their silent dance, unaware of the ages that will come after them. To them, this world is complete, as full and real as yours is now. They cannot know of dinosaurs or mammals, of forests or birds. They cannot imagine you, standing here, watching them through the veil of time. And yet, you share something profound. The miracle of simply being alive in a fragile, ever-changing world. You let this thought linger. The dawn is not truly forgotten. It lives in fossils, in stones, in the whispers of your own body. When you breathe, when you move, you are carrying the memory forward. And so, as the night deepens, you rise gently from the shore of this ancient sea. The creatures drift back into the darkness of the waves. The land folds itself into shadow, and you are carried forward, drifting on the current of time itself. Ahead lies another chapter of Earth's story. It will not remain in the oceans forever. Soon, new shadows will move in the water shapes, larger, sharper, more fearsome. The seas will give rise to giants, and the balance between predator and prey will tip into unfamiliar forms. But for now, you linger in the space between, carrying with you the memory of the first dawn, and waiting quietly for the next revelation to unfold. In the oceans of deep time, armored fish and jawless swimmers glide like silent ghosts. Their bodies glimmer in the filtered light, ancient experiments in survival. You follow them slowly, learning how life first built teeth, jaws, and armor. In the endless cradle of the sea, here the ocean is both nursery and battlefield, a place of wonder and quiet peril. The sea before you breathes with a rhythm older than memory. Waves rise and fall in a steady lull, as if the planet itself is rocking you gently into its story. The waters are darker here than in your present world, filled with particles of ash and minerals carried from restless volcanoes. Yet, even in this dim light, something glimmers, faint shapes moving beneath the surface. Shadows in the water dot you step closer, and the sea opens like a window. Filtered sunlight slips through, scattering into beams that reach down only so far before vanishing into darkness. It is in this twilight space that you begin to see them. Creatures glide silently, their bodies outlined by the play of light on scales, plates, and soft skin. Each one feels like an early sketch, a draft in life's long experiment. The first figures you notice are jawless fish. Their bodies are long and smooth, almost eel-like, their mouths small and round, rimmed with soft, fleshy lips. They have no teeth as you know them, only suction-like openings that cling to surfaces, scraping gently at the seafloor or feeding on drifting remains. They are simple, yet there is elegance in their simplicity, like brushstrokes of movement in a watery canvas. These are the agnathans, the jawless ones. Among the oldest vertebrates to drift through Earth's seas dot, you watch as they move together in slow weaving patterns. Their bodies bend like ribbons, curving and uncurving with each motion. Though they seem vulnerable, they have survived for millions of years already, adapting to currents and food sources with patient persistence. There is a kind of humility in their form, a reminder that survival does not always require complexity. Sometimes to endure is enough, but then you notice others, different, heavier, clad in something new. These are armored fish, their heads and bodies encased in thick plates of bone. The light catches their surfaces, turning them into swimming mosaics of silver and bronze. Their eyes peer out from narrow gaps in the armor, glinting with alertness. These are the placoderms, pioneers of protection, who carry fortresses upon their backs. One drifts past you, its body slow and deliberate, as though weighed down by its shell. And yet, when it needs to move, it does so with surprising grace, twisting its tail with sudden power. The armor is both burden and blessing. Heavy, but shielding. Limiting, but life-saving. You sense the trade-offs written into its body, the compromises of survival. To protect itself from teeth that did not yet exist, it had to grow its own fortress in this world. The balance between predator and prey is still forming. Many creatures feed by filtering small particles from the water, or by scavenging. But something new is stirring in the currents, a shift that will ripple through time. The first jaws appear. It is such a simple thing, a hinge of bone, a pair of moving plates, yet it changes everything. You see it in motion. A small fish glides forward, its mouth snapping shut on a drifting worm-like creature. The action is swift, precise, final. A jaw is not just a tool, it is power. With jaws, creatures can bite, hold, tear. For the first time, the ocean knows true predators. The quiet rhythm of drifting and filtering begins to give way to pursuit and capture. You imagine how revolutionary this must have been, to be a creature without jaws, and suddenly to live in a world where jaws exist. It is like standing unarmed in a place where swords have just been invented. The balance of survival tilts, and many cannot follow. And yet, this is how life always unfolds. One change, one innovation, and the entire stage of existence rearranges itself. You linger on this thought as you watch more armored fish swim by. Some jaws grow larger, more elaborate. Teeth appear, at first simple nubs of bone, then sharper, stronger. Each new adaptation is a step into a future where the ocean will become a place of both beauty and danger, a place of hunters and hunted. You sense that the gentle shadows around you are slowly hardening into something fiercer. The water itself carries this tension. Currents swirl more strongly now, stirred by shifting climates and restless tides. Continents continue to drift above, changing the shape of coastlines and seas. In some places, shallow waters spread wide, flooded with sunlight and nutrients. These are nurseries of life, rich and thriving. In others, the ocean drops suddenly into darkness, deep trenches where little light or warmth can reach. There, life must find new ways, unseen by your eyes tonight. Still, you remain here in the shallows where the shadows are visible. You notice how armor and jaws are not the only answers to survival. Some fish grow faster, swifter, their bodies shaped like arrows to cut through the water. Others develop new senses, eyes sharper, smell keener, balance tuned to the subtle vibrations of waves. Every change is a response to pressure, to being hunted, or to the hunger that drives the hunt. It is a quiet arms race, unfolding over millions of years, each side shaping the other. You reflect on how the ocean feels both peaceful and perilous. The creatures move slowly now, as though their world is suspended in time, but you know this calm is an illusion of your vision. Beneath, the surface of patience is constant struggle, each moment deciding who will endure, who will fade. It is not cruel, though. It is simply the rhythm of existence, the way life tests its many paths. For a moment, you think of your own body, the jaw you used to eat, to speak, to yawn before sleep. It began here, in these waters, in these shadows. The teeth you carry in your mouth are echoes of innovations millions of years old. You are connected through bone and hinge and bite, to these early fish gliding beneath you now. Their experiments have become your inheritance. The light in the water begins to shift. The sun lowers, its rays striking the surface at a softer angle. A glimmer of armored plates turns golden, then bronze, before fading into shadow. The fish retreat deeper where the darkness welcomes them. The sea grows quieter, the surface still, and you stand at the edge, listening to the hush of waves, feeling the weight of this ancient transformation. The world has changed again. Jaws, armor, teeth. These are not just features, but turning points in the story of life. With them, the oceans are no longer only cradles. They are battlefields, arenas of survival, where power and vulnerability weave endlessly together. And yet, from this struggle comes diversity, beauty, abundance. The oceans grow richer because of conflict, not in spite of it. As you step back, letting the image dissolve, you carry the sense of transition. The shadows you saw were not only fish in an ancient sea, they were the outlines of a future. Each adaptation, each shift in form, points towards something greater, something waiting still beyond the horizon of time. The story is only beginning, and the ocean has more giants yet to reveal. Colossal sea scorpions prowl the shallows, their claws tracing ripples in the sand. Early sharks cut the waters, with bodies sharp as thought itself. The ocean is not a place of peace, but of strange giants who vanished long before dinosaurs ever stir. You drift through their realm, carried by tides that whisper of both wonder and impermanence. The water around you deepens, and the twilight of the ocean folds into something heavier, richer, alive with power. You feel the shift at once. The sea is no longer a nursery of fragile forms or armored experiments. It is now a stage of giants, where survival grows larger, stranger, more dramatic. The shadows you glimpsed before have gathered into colossal shapes, and they are waiting for you in this realm of waves. Your gaze falls first to the seabed, where something stirs. A creature crawls across the sand, its legs jointed, its body armored, its eyes like dark mirrors reflecting the dim light. Above, it looks familiar, like a scorpion you might know from dry land, yet impossibly large, stretching longer than your body. This is a sea scorpion, an eurypterid, ruler of shallow waters. Its claws open and close slowly, like the steady ticking of a clock. Each movement ripples the sand, leaving marks that speak of its power. You watch as it pauses, sensing something. Nearby, with a sudden burst, it propels itself forward, swimming with its paddle-like limbs, faster than you expect from such a heavy body. It disappears into a cloud of silt, and when it emerges, it clutches a struggling fish in its claws. The jaws of fish, the innovation you witnessed before, are met here with equal ferocity. Pincers sharp enough to cut, strong enough to hold. In this balance of teeth and claw, the ocean finds a new rhythm of fear and survival. As you drift further, you notice that these scorpions are not alone. They share the waters with other arthropods, some smaller, some nearly as grand. Their segmented bodies gleam like armor forged in silence. You can almost feel the weight of their presence, like guardians of an alien kingdom. They are reminders that once, long before mammals or birds or even dinosaurs, it was creatures like these that claimed dominion over Earth's seas. But the sea scorpions are not the only giants here. A darker shadow moves above you, and your eyes lift toward its passing. It is long, sleek, powerful, a shape that cuts the water with a grace that feels timeless. An early shark glides overhead, its body a perfect balance of muscle and fin. It is smaller than the sharks you may know now, yet no less fierce, for it carries the first whispers of a dynasty that will stretch across hundreds of millions of years. Its mouth opens, rows of sharp teeth glinting like tiny daggers in the dim light. Unlike the suction mouths of jawless fish, unlike the heavy plates of armored swimmers, This mouth is built for efficiency. Bite, release, bite again. Sharks do not chew, they tear. Their design is a promise of endurance, one so effective that the shape of sharks will remain almost unchanged for the rest of time. As you watch it vanish into the depths, you understand why. Some designs need no further improvement. The water stirs again, and another shark-like figure appears, this one stranger still. Its fins stretch outward, longer, more elaborate, like wings shaped for display or for sudden maneuvers. Its body seems designed for both speed and spectacle, a reminder that even here, life experiments in many directions. Some forms will last, others will vanish, but all will leave their mark on the unfolding story. You drift with the current, feeling how alive the sea has become. Everywhere you look, bodies are larger, stronger, bolder. This is not the delicate dawn of small swimmers, but an age of scale. The oxygen in the air and water is richer now, feeding the possibility of size. Creatures grow to lengths unthinkable before, their bodies stretched by the generosity of the planet's chemistry. It is as if Earth itself has decided to play with the idea of giants. On the sandy floor, another form draws your attention. It looks like a fish, yet stranger, its head broad, its mouth wide, lined with plates of bone instead of delicate teeth. It opens its jaws, and the entire front of its face seems to unfold. This is Dunkleosteus, one of the great predators of its time. Its bite is among the most powerful ever known, capable of crushing shells and armor alike. You feel a shiver pass through you as you imagine the sudden finality of such a strike. Yet even Dunkleosteus is not invincible. It too is part of a cycle, predator and prey shifting endlessly in their roles. For all its strength, it will one day vanish, leaving only fragments of its armored skull and stone. Its reign is temporary, like all reigns. This is the quiet truth. The ocean repeats. No matter how vast, how fierce, how perfect a creature may seem, it too is bound to impermanence. The ocean around you feels heavier now, the weight of history pressing against your senses. You notice how the currents carry whispers of both abundance and loss. With each new innovation, claw, jaw, armor, speed, comes both flourishing and extinction. Entire lineages will vanish, yet their experiments will echo in the bodies of others. What endures is not the creature itself, but the idea it carried, the design it tested. You realize that life is less a straight line than a weaving. A tapestry of trials dot above. Schools of fish shimmer in silver waves, scattering when a shadow passes too close. Their movements are collective, almost choreographed, each turn, and twist a shared defense against predators. It is a new kind of survival, not through strength alone, but through unity. You marvel at how strategies multiply. Armor, jaws, size, speed, cooperation. The sea is a library of possibilities, every page turned by necessity, every line written by the hand of time. And through it all, the giants continue to prowl. A sea scorpion drifts across the sand, its claw raised like a warning. A shark circles. Above, its path smooth and unbroken. The balance is tense, yet strangely harmonious. Each creature holds its place, part of a larger design you can only glimpse. There is no malice here, no cruelty, only the simple truth of existence. Life eats. Life endures. Life transforms. As you let these thoughts settle, you feel the ocean softening around you. The light dims further, shadows lengthen, and the giants begin to fade from sight. You are left with the hush of water, the soundless pulse of the sea. The image of claws and teeth, of armor and speed, lingers in your mind like echoes of a dream. It is humbling to know that these vast creatures once ruled and yet are now gone, remembered only in stone and story. You breathe slowly, letting the rhythm of the water guide your thoughts towards stillness. The age of giants beneath the waves has passed before you like a tide, vast and fleeting. You feel the pull of time moving onward, as if the ocean itself is carrying you forward. There is more to come. Life does not remain in the water forever. Soon, fins will reach for land, and bodies will test the weight of air. Fins become legs, and fish rise from their watery homes. You imagine their first uncertain steps, the press of air on delicate skin, the weight of a world outside the water. In these fragile moments, life begins its climb toward the future of reptiles and mammals. The ocean whispers farewell, and the land waits with silence and possibility. The waves behind you soften into memory, as if they have given permission for you to move forward. The air feels different, not heavy with salt, not filled with the dim weight of water, but open, invisible, pressing quietly against your skin. It carries the promise of breath, though also the risk of dryness. You sense that to step here is to choose both vulnerability and possibility. The shoreline glistens with shallow pools. The mud is damp, patterned with ripples from tides that have only just pulled away. It is here, at this meeting of water and land, that a great experiment unfolds. Fish rise, not in great leaps, but in hesitant movements, bodies still belonging to the sea, yet reaching toward something new. You picture yourself as one of them. Your fins push against the mud, not quite suited for the task. Each attempt feels awkward, your body heavier than water ever allowed. Yet the earth beneath you does not give way completely. It supports you in a strange, uncertain manner, as if testing your resolve. The water behind is full. Predators, competitors, the endless cycle of teeth and claws. But the land ahead is empty, quiet, untouched. Here, no giant sharks prowl, no sea scorpions patrol. There are insects, soft-bodied and small, waiting among the ferns and mosses. There is food, there is air, there is space unclaimed. In this space, Tiktaalik stirs. Its body is still fish-like, but its fins are strengthened by bones that resemble wrists. It props itself up, chest lifting above the waterline. Its eyes, placed high upon its head, peer into the air. This small gesture, this raising of gaze, is a threshold crossed, the beginning of looking outward, instead of only within the water's haze. The plants have been here longer. Ferns unfurl, moss creeps across stone, tall club mosses rise. Green pillars. They shape the air itself, thickening it with oxygen, creating a new atmosphere that invites breath. The forest is not yet the forest, you know, but its presence is undeniable. It offers shade, dampness, structure, a living architecture of possibility. The first steps are clumsy. Fins splay against the mud, pushing forward in short bursts. The body drags, heavy and uncertain, yet each movement leaves an impression. Footprints press into the wet ground, shallow and imperfect, but they mark a beginning. They are the earliest sentences written upon land, the script of survival in a new domain. Breath itself becomes transformation. Gills collapse in dry air, fragile and thin. But lungs, once hidden reserves, expand with purpose. Air is pulled in gulps, shallow at first, then steadier, longer. The rhythm of breathing becomes the rhythm of belonging. Life learns to claim oxygen not only from water, but from the vast sky itself. You listen closely, and you can almost hear it. A faint whisper of the first lungs filling, the hush of survival taking a new form, the sound of future generations. Carried in a single breath, the forest hums with insects. Dragonflies shimmer, their wings catching sunlight as they drift. Millipedes crawl with patient certainty, their bodies long and armored. Though small, these creatures are abundant, their presence an invitation. To chase them is to leave the water, even if only for a few moments. Hunger pulls evolution forward as much as curiosity does. The pioneers are vulnerable. Their skin dries quickly, their movements falter, their time on land is short. But with each attempt, strength grows. With each return, limbs become more capable, bones more reliable. What begins as crawling soon becomes something closer to stepping. The transition is slow, spread across countless lives, but it is steady. Some linger in shallow pools, retreating when the air grows harsh. Others rest beneath, ferns shaded and moist. In these pauses, bodies adapt. Limbs grow longer, joints more flexible, toes spreading outward to bear weight. The world itself seems to shape them, carving legs out of fins, stride out of stroke. The earth leaves its impression upon their bones, just as they leave theirs upon the mud. Not imagine the first footprints trailing away from a pool. They do not go far, but they exist, winding across damp ground, soon washed by rain, soon lost to time. Yet in that moment, they are everything. They are the record of life, reaching beyond what it was, toward what it could be. You follow them in your mind, each step both fragile and immense. The forests thicken, their shadows cool and deep. Moist air rises, carrying the scent of soil and green. Everywhere is sound, the drone of insects, the creak of stems, the sigh of wind through fronds. The land, once silent, now hums with presence. The pioneers who crawl here are not alone. They enter a place already alive, already waiting. You watch one rest, body pressed against damp soil, sides heaving with breath. It gazes outward with eyes no longer tied to the water. The world is wide, strange, and daunting. But something in it calls, and the creature stays. Not for long, not far, but enough. Enough to mark a beginning that cannot be undone. The moment feels delicate, but it is vast. It holds within it the future of reptiles, of birds, of mammals, of you. All of them trace their roots to this hesitant crossing, this experiment that succeeded not at once, but over eons. The land receives them quietly, without ceremony, and yet everything changes. The sun sinks lower, the forest glows with amber. Light, shadows stretch long, insects drift lazily, the air thickens with stillness. The pioneers withdraw into pools, into damp hollows, into safety. Night gathers, and the first day upon land ends without fanfare. But the footprints remain, pressed into soil, quiet signatures of a story unfolding. Towering ferns and forests of giant horsetails fill the air with damp breath. Insects grow impossibly large, their wings whispering like paper lanterns. You wander through these lush green cathedrals, where dragonflies the size of hawks drift. Between trees, the land hums with life, swollen by oxygen, a world of giants born of plants in air. You step softly into a green world, where the air itself feels thick and alive. Moisture clings to your skin, the scent of damp soil rising around you. The land has changed, grown dense, filled with forests that seem both familiar and alien. This is no quiet edge of moss and fern anymore. This is a world of towering plants, a cathedral of stems and leaves reaching high into the light. The air is rich here, heavy with oxygen. Each breath feels abundant, almost intoxicating. You sense how this abundance reshapes everything that lives. Insects grow larger than you can imagine, their bodies swollen, their wings vast and glimmering. Life swells with the generosity of air. Before you, ferns spread wide, their fronds unfurling like green feathers. Club mosses rise like pillars, taller than houses, their hollow trunks stretching toward the sky. Horsetails grow in thick stands, jointed stalks shining in the dim. Wet light. Together they create a forest unlike any that exists today. Strange, primitive, yet magnificent. The ground is damp, the canopy dripping, the air buzzing with movement. You hear the slow creak of stems swaying, the drip of condensed mist falling from leaves. And then you hear another sound, the low, steady hum of wings. A dragonfly, immense, glides past. Its wingspan reaches as wide as your outstretched arms, each beat whispering like silk tearing in slow motion. It drifts easily, riding the currents of oxygen-rich air, its eyes shining like dark jewels. You pause, feeling both wonder and unease. The world of insects has grown beyond the scale, you know. Millipedes, thicker than logs, crawl across the forest floor, their countless legs rippling like waves. Scorpions as long as wolves move among the roots, their armored bodies gleaming with moisture. The forest is alive with giants, yet they belong not to mammals or reptiles, but to creatures of chitin and breath. Why so large, you wonder? The answer lies in the air itself. This age holds oxygen at levels far greater than today. Every breath feeds not just survival, but growth, allowing bodies to stretch, wings to widen, exoskeletons to expand. The air gives and life accepts, swelling into forms that seem unreal to your eyes. You wander deeper, the forest canopy closing above, like the arches of a great hall. Light filters through in soft beams, catching motes of mist and dust. The ground is spongy, layered with decaying plants, a rich bed of carbon and shadow. This decay, silent and steady, builds the coal that will one day fuel future civilizations. You walk unknowingly across the foundations of ages to come. Everywhere, the forest breathes. The plants themselves pump oxygen into the sky, releasing it in waves, filling the air with vitality. The very atmosphere you inhale is the gift of their endless labor. You realize how the rise of forests changes not just the land, but the very sky above it. The earth itself exhales through leaves and stems, reshaping the climate, the air, the possibilities of life. You imagine resting here, lying against the damp earth, staring upward at trunks and fronds that vanish into mist. The sound of insects becomes a lullaby, steady and droning, as constant as the sea once was. The forest feels eternal, endless, unchanging. And yet, you know, it is also fragile. Balanced on the knife edge of climate and time. Another dragonfly passes, its wings shimmering in green light. You follow it with your gaze, wondering how such fragile structures can carry such bulk. It is the air itself that lifts them, air so rich it bends the limits of what is possible. Here, insects claim a dominance they will never hold again. This is their age of giants, fleeting but real. Among the damp roots, you see the faint trace of amphibians, creatures still tied to the water, yet venturing farther onto land. They rest in the shade, their skins moist, their eyes wide. They are small compared to the insects that surround them. They live cautiously, not yet ready to claim the forests as their own. But their presence is a whisper of what will come. You listen to the rhythm of this world, the sigh of plants breathing, the drone of wings circling, the soft patter of droplets falling. It is a rhythm slower than your own heartbeat, deeper, more ancient. It cradles you in its steadiness, inviting you to drift, to imagine, to surrender to the calm of time. The forest is both alien and intimate. You know ferns today, horsetails, mosses, but never like this, never so vast, never so dominant. Walking here is like stepping inside a memory of Earth, a version of green that has long since passed. You sense the scale of it, the immensity, yet also its impermanence. Even the tallest club moss will one day fall, its trunk sinking into the soft ground, feeding the earth with its body. The air grows thicker as the sun lowers, mist gathering, the forest glowing with soft light. You close your eyes for a moment, and the sounds swell. The rustling leaves, the whispering wings, the endless hum of life breathing in rhythm. It feels almost like the forest itself is alive, a single great organism, holding you within its lungs. And then you feel the weight of time pressing again. These forests will not last forever. They will fall, buried in swamps, compressed into coal. The giants will vanish, their age fading with the oxygen that once fed them. But for now, they thrive, vast and vivid, a green world blooming in damp. Breath, you linger in their shade, breathing deeply, grateful for air so rich. Every step you take feels cushioned by moss, every sound softened by mist. You are walking in a dream of earth, a vision both strange and tender. The forest cradles you, its giant insects gliding above, its roots holding history beneath. And you know gently that even this dream must shift into another. The air, once generous, will change. The forests, once endless, will thin. Other creatures will rise, reshaping land and life. At the memory of these towering ferns and giant, insects will remain, hidden in stone, in coal, in the oxygen of your own breath. This world leaves its mark not only on the earth, but on you, here, now, as you listen. In shadowed wetlands, amphibian lords rise, their wide jaws open like gates, their eyes glowing above still waters. Some sprawl like living boulders, while others slip silently below the reeds. These creatures hold dominion long before any reptile claims the throne. The air is thick, damp, and heavy, as though the world itself is exhaling into your lungs. You step softly into a swamp that feels both eternal and newborn, a cradle of mud, water, and shadow. The surface of the water mirrors the sky, broken only by ripples where something stirs beneath. It is a quiet world, but not an empty one. This is an age when amphibians, titans of damp and shadow, rule the tangled marshes. You notice the stillness first, the kind of silence that makes every movement important. The croak of a hidden creature vibrates low, a deep thrum that blends with the drone of ancient insects. Tall ferns rise around you, their feathered fronds swaying with a wind you do not feel. The swamp smells of wet earth, of life in slow decay. And rebirth. It is here, in these wetlands, that the rulers of the Carboniferous reign. Beneath the surface, eyes open golden, unblinking, patient. They belong to creatures you might mistake for logs, their thick bodies half hidden by reeds. These are labyrinthodonts, giant amphibians whose very name suggests a maze of bone within their skulls. They are the lords of this watery stage, neither fish nor reptile, but something between. You imagine their bodies, slick-skinned and massive, stretching several meters long, their jaws wide enough to swallow prey in a single gulp. The air feels different this time. Oxygen hangs heavier here, its abundance feeding both fire and life. Insects grow impossibly large dragonflies with wingspans as wide as your outstretched arms buzz overhead like shimmering kites. But for all their size, they are fragile, easily snatched from the air by waiting mouths. The amphibians rule not with speed, but with patience, ambushing anything careless enough to wander close. You kneel by the water's edge and see a ripple spread outward, as though the swamp itself is breathing. The amphibians' nostrils break, the surface drawing in air. Unlike their fish ancestors, these creatures can rise above water, feel the weight of the atmosphere, and pull breath into lungs. Yet they never stray far. Their bodies demand the cool, damp touch of mud and shadow. Their skin, soft and permeable, thirsts for water as much as their lungs thirst for air. Picture one lifting itself from the shallows, broad, muscular limbs pressing against slick ground, toes splaying wide. The movement is slow, deliberate, as if the land is still an uncertain home. It crawls onto a log, its weight bowing the ancient wood, then rests, unmoving, its body blending with the swamp around it. For these amphibian giants, patience is survival. Life here is a rhythm of stillness. and sudden violence. A beetle scuttles too close. In an instant, the amphibian's mouth snaps open, a cavern of teeth and darkness. The prey vanishes, swallowed whole. The swamp returns to silence, ripples fading into still water. This is the way of the wetlands. Quiet waiting, sudden action, and quiet once more. You walk deeper, and the swamp reveals more of its inhabitants. Some are slender, eel-like forms that slither through water channels. Others are squat, toad-like bodies that press low against the ground. Each has adapted to its corner of this watery labyrinth. Some hide in burrows dug into soft earth, their moist skin protected from the drying sun. Others bask half-submerged, eyes always above water. Watching. These amphibians are not the delicate frogs you know today. They are predators, heavy-bodied, armored with ridged skulls and teeth that seem designed to pierce, grip, and hold. Their world is one of abundance, yet also of challenge. For as mighty as they are here, their dominion is fragile. They are creatures bound by their environment, tied to water as tightly as the lily that bloom across its surface. The swamps themselves are immense, stretching farther than you can imagine. Dense forests of lycopsids and towering horsetails feed the cycle of growth and decay. When these plants fall, they sink into still water, layer upon layer, forming the coal beds that one day fuel future civilizations. You stand in the birthplace of energy, the silent womb of forests turned to stone. The amphibians know nothing of this legacy. For them, the swamp is simply home, a place of shelter, of ambush, of survival. They glide through the murky water, with surprising grace, their limbs paddling in wide arcs. Their eyes glisten above the surface, always alert, always watchful. They are creatures of threshold, never fully belonging to water nor land, but living in both. Night falls slowly over the swamp, and with it comes a new chorus. The air vibrates with calls, deep, resonant bellows, and high-pitched trills. Amphibians announce themselves not with roar or growl, but with voice, songs carried through heavy air. It is a reminder that even in this ancient world, sound is a tool of survival. The swamp becomes an orchestra of croaks, hums, and drones, layered beneath the whisper of insect wings. You listen, feeling the rhythm of a world still young, still uncertain of its direction. Each call echoes the struggle between water and land, between breath and silence, between what has been and what might come. The amphibians are the keepers of this fragile balance, guardians of the twilight between two realms. Imagine now the cycles of their lives. Eggs laid in shallow pools, soft and vulnerable, cradled in gelatinous spheres. From them hatch larvae with gills, delicate as drifting weeds. In time, these young sprout legs, trade gills for lungs, and climb hesitantly onto land. Each generation rehearses the same story, repeating the ancient experiment of leaving the water, never fully completing the transition. It is a ritual etched into the bones of time. Yet shadows loom even in this thriving world. In the distance, other shapes begin to stir, creatures with scales instead of smooth skin, with lungs stronger and bodies less dependent on damp earth. The first reptiles are appearing, small and unassuming now, but bearing within them a freedom the amphibians will never know. Unlike the swamp-bound titans, they can wander farther from water, their eggs protected by shells, their skins armored against the drying air. You sense it, a quiet shift beneath the beauty of this world. The amphibians, for all their might, are tied to the swamp. Their reign is bound to moisture and shadow. The reptiles will carry life farther, across dry plains, into deserts, up rocky hillsides. The swamp will not vanish, but its lords will slowly fade, their dominion retreating as new rulers rise. Still, at this moment, they are glorious. You stand at the water's edge, watching the broad head of a labyrinthodont break the surface. Its golden eyes fix on you, unblinking, as though it sees across ages. You realize that this creature is both fragile and eternal, both temporary and enduring. Its line will dwindle, but its story will echo forward, whispered in the genes of creatures yet to come. The swamp breathes around you, a living cathedral of damp earth and shadowed water. Every sound, every movement, every ripple feels connected, woven into the great tapestry of life's unfolding. Here, in this quiet age, amphibians hold the throne, not through speed or power alone, but through patience, adaptation, and the ancient rhythm of survival. You close your eyes and listen once more to the swamp's chorus. The songs rise and fall, echoing into the night, voices of a world poised on the edge of transformation. You feel the weight of stillness, the pull of time moving forward, slow and inevitable. The titans of the swamp linger in your thoughts, their watchful eyes glowing in memory. And as you turn toward the next horizon, you sense the coming of new shapes, new rulers, new ways of being. The reptiles are waiting just beyond the shadowed reeds, their future already stirring in the stillness. Reptiles appear, small at first, but fierce in spirit. They are not yet dinosaurs, but their bodies whisper the shapes to come. You watch them climb the ladder of time, learning how lungs, scales, and eggs turn them into creatures of air and sunlight. The land itself shifts beneath their steps as new rulers rise where swamps once held dominion. The swamp is fading behind you, its shadows and damp breath left to the titans of yesterday. Before you, the land stretches wider, drier, brighter. The air feels different, lighter, though no less alive. You step into a world where scales shimmer in sunlight, where creatures small but determined carry a secret that will change the course of life forever. This is the age of the reptiles. At first, they seem unremarkable. Their bodies are low to the ground, their movements quick and cautious. They are smaller than the amphibian lords you have left behind, but their strength does not lie in size. It lies in their freedom. These are animals no longer tethered to water for survival. They have unlocked the power to walk far from the swamps, to bask in heat, to thrive beneath open skies. You watch as one scurries across a patch of stone. Its skin glistens not with moisture, but with scales, tiny shields that hold water inside and protect against the sun. Where amphibians must keep close to damp earth, reptiles stride farther, their bodies built to endure dryness. Each step it takes feels like an announcement. The land belongs to us now. Pause to imagine the heart within this creature. It beats steady and strong, pumping blood into limbs designed to carry it longer distances. Its lungs fill with air, efficient and powerful, able to drink deeply from the atmosphere. While amphibians breathe both through skin and lung, these reptiles have chosen a single path, and in that choice, they have gained mastery of the land. The eggs they lay are miracles in themselves. Unlike the jelly-coated spheres of amphibians that must be cradled in water, reptile eggs are sealed in shells, safe little worlds that can survive on dry ground. Each shell is a promise, a vessel carrying life farther from the swamp. In this small change lies a revolution. The reptiles have carried water with them, hidden inside the egg. They have freed themselves from the need to return to the pond. You picture the first clutches of these eggs buried in warm sand, hidden beneath fallen leaves, nestled into cracks of sunlit earth. Inside, tiny hearts begin to beat, sheltered from drought and sun. Each hatchling emerges ready to walk, ready to breathe air, ready to live in a world larger than its ancestors ever knew. The shell is not merely a barrier. It is a passport, a key to endless horizons. The land itself responds to these new rulers. Forests stretch across continents, their roots drinking deeply from soils that now host reptiles instead of only insects and amphibians. Dry plains open under a wide sky. Here, where water is scarce, reptiles thrive. Their bodies are lessons. In resilience, each scale a reminder of their adaptation. Watch as a small reptile perches on a rock, lifting its head toward the sun. Its body is warmed by light, fueled not by constant movement, but by patience. Cold-blooded, it does not waste energy on burning fuel within. Instead, it leans into the generosity of sunlight, drawing strength from its rays. In this stillness is efficiency, and in that efficiency is survival. Predators emerge among them. Their jaws are sharper, their movements swifter, their eyes more focused than those of amphibians. Teeth line their mouths, crafted for gripping and tearing. Some chase insects across the ground. Others stalk smaller reptiles, turning the earth into a theater of quiet hunts. The rules of survival are shifting, shaped by tooth and scale. You notice how they carry themselves. Their bodies are low, but their limbs grow stronger, pushing them upward, granting new speed and reach. In some, the hint of an upright stance is already forming. These are not yet dinosaurs, not yet the towering lords of later ages, but their bodies whisper of what is coming. You sense it, the future folded inside their bones, the earth beneath them is restless. Continents drift, colliding and parting, forming mountains and valleys. Rivers carve paths through stone, deserts spread beneath vast skies, and seas retreat to reveal new expanses of land. Reptiles follow these changes, moving into every corner, adapting to each new stage the planet offers. They are not bound to one place. They are wanderers, explorers, conquerors of dry ground. Pause again and feel the rhythm of time moving forward. You see generations upon generations of reptiles, each shaped by the land it claims. Some remain small and nimble, scampering through. Leaf litter. Others grow larger, their jaws widening, their steps heavy. Evolution paints them in endless variety, testing forms, shaping futures. The land grows full of their presence, their shadows stretching farther with each century. Think of the gift that made this possible, the amniotic egg. Inside its shell is more than a creature. It is a universe of protection, nourishment, and possibility. The egg is a world carried by the mother, placed upon the earth, and left to hatch in its own time. From it emerge reptiles, ready not just to survive, but to expand. This one innovation carries life into deserts, into hills, into lands where no amphibian could follow. The reptile's mastery is not just physical but symbolic. They represent the moment life truly claims the land as home. With scales to guard their bodies, lungs to drink air, and eggs to shelter young, they are complete. In a way, their ancestors never were. Standing among them, you sense a confidence, a permanence. The age of amphibians feels like an echo now, fading into memory. Night descends, and even in darkness, the reptiles endure. Their eyes reflect faint glimmers of starlight, their bodies still warm from the day. Some retreat into burrows, others remain still, conserving energy. Unlike mammals yet to come, they do not shiver to keep warm. Instead, they rest, patient, waiting for the sun's return. Their lives are attuned to cycles of light and dark, of warmth and coolness, of patience and precision. The land around you hums with possibility. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every ripple of scales across stone, every tiny egg buried in sand speaks of futures yet unseen. These creatures, small and scattered now, will diversify into forms astonishing and immense. They are the architects of tomorrow's dominion, but for now, they remain humble masters, quietly reshaping the balance of power. Amphibians retreat to their swamps, insects rise into the air, but reptiles claim the ground beneath the sky. Their journey has only begun, yet already you feel the inevitability of their rise. The earth itself seems to lean toward them, offering dry plains, deserts, and forests as their stage. Breathe deeply in this moment. The reptiles are not roaring yet, not towering, not thundering across continents. They are whispers, not shouts, small bodies with grand futures. But in their scales glimmers the promise of dinosaurs, of crocodiles, of birds yet to take flight. You are watching the seed of greatness take root in soil. You pause at the edge of a clearing where the moon reflects. On stone, a lone reptile rests there, silent, still. Its eyes meet yours, and in their gaze, you sense a lineage stretching forward across millions of years. It carries within it both past and future, both fragility and strength. The masters of the land are here, and their rule is only just beginning. Time drifts onward, as it always does. You feel the current pulling you, carrying you toward what comes next. The reptiles grow in number, in variety, in ambition. Some creep, some sprint, some bask, some hunt. The world bends around their presence, reshaping itself to their resilience. And still, this is only the opening act. Before the roar of the dinosaur, there were still stranger hunters, saber-toothed amphibians, armored reptiles, and creatures with skulls lined with countless teeth. You follow their patient movements, their silent ambushes, and the ancient rhythm of predator and prey. This is not yet the age of thunder, but a quieter theater where survival is written in stillness and sudden strike. The shadows of these hunters shape the stage upon which the future giants will arrive. The forest still hums with the breath of insects. The swamps still cradle the heavy bodies of amphibians, and reptiles have only just begun to scatter across the land. Yet already, you feel another presence here, something watchful, something sharp. The world is learning what it means to hunt, to stalk, to chase, to kill. Every age has its predators. Long before the rise of dinosaurs, the earth experimented with many shapes of hunger. Their jaws and claws are unfamiliar to you, but the rhythm of their existence is one you know well. To eat, to survive, is to claim a place in the endless dance of life. You pause near a slow green river. Its surface glimmers with sunlight, broken now and then by ripples. From beneath the weeds, a pair of eyes rises, unblinking. It is a tennispondal, a vast amphibian with a skull like a flat slab of stone. Its mouth is wide, stretching into a grim line, armed with teeth like ivory needles. Patiently, it waits, motionless, blending with the stillness of water that the silence stretches long. But then a fish ventures near, its scales flashing silver. In a burst, the jaw snaps open, water exploding outward, and the fish vanishes between teeth. The predator sinks again, leaving only ripples behind. This is how these ancient hunters live. Quiet patience followed by sudden violence. Move closer, and you see their bodies more clearly. Some are no larger than your hand. Others, however, sprawl like living logs, longer than you are tall, their limbs splayed, their weight heavy against the earth. These amphibians rule rivers and swamps, but their power does not travel far from water. Still, in their realm, they are lords. You continue onward, where drier land stretches under a warm sun. Here, new predators stir reptiles with teeth built for tearing, their jaws narrower, their movements swifter. Unlike the amphibians, they do not wait by the water. They prowl the land, silent, determined, their scales glinting with every step. Some are armored, their backs lined with bony plates. Others have skulls so strange, they seem almost unreal long snouts filled with rows of teeth, heads flattened like shields, or jaws opening wider than you would think possible. Each one is an experiment of nature, a question posed in flesh. What form makes the most perfect hunter? You stop at the edge of a clearing. The earth here is marked with strange impressions, tracks pressed deep into soft ground. Four-toed prints, clawed and purposeful, trace a path across the mud. They belong to an early predator reptile, perhaps a Gorgonopsid. You follow them slowly, each print telling you of a body that walked with confidence, balanced between power and grace. When you find it, the creature is resting in the shade. Its head is large, its jaws lined with saber-like teeth. Though not yet a dinosaur, it already carries the aura of a future lion, an authority of movement and presence. Its eyes open, narrow and golden, and for a moment you meet the gaze of a predator that ruled long before the age. Imagine the mechanics of that skull. Muscles coil along the jaw, strong enough to snap through bone. Teeth curve down like daggers, designed not to chew, but to pierce and kill. This is no amphibian ambusher, no patient log by a river. This is pursuit, this is strike, this is life. Sharpened into an edge, the land trembles with the diversity of hunters. Some creep low, dragging heavy bodies across soil. Others spring lightly, their limbs faster, their chests rising and falling with steady breath. The air itself feels thick with tension. Every rustle in the leaves may be prey or predator. The balance is delicate, a seesaw of hunger and survival. You walk further, and the sounds of insects fade into something heavier. From behind reeds, a shadow shifts. Slowly, a massive reptile emerges, its body plated in armor, its head low. Its teeth shine when it opens its mouth, rows upon rows, like a comb of ivory points. It does not rush. It does not need to. Its bulk alone demands respect, its jaws promising destruction to anything unwary. Predators in this forgotten age are not just animals. They are sculptors of life itself. Their pressure shapes the behavior of every creature around them. Fish dart faster, amphibians stay closer to water, insects swarm higher into trees, all to avoid the jaws of hunters. The predator is the hand that carves evolution, forcing prey to adapt, to sharpen, to survive. You pause to consider your own body, your own breath. Even now, millions of years later, the shape of your hands, your eyes, your instincts are echoes of this dance. To flee, to hide, to sense danger in stillness. These are lessons carried forward across deep time. These early hunters wrote their lessons into the very fabric of survival. The sun sinks lower, painting the land in amber. Shadows stretch, and with them, the hunters grow more active. Amphibians slip from swamps to patrol the water's edge. Reptiles stir, their movements cautious at first, then purposeful. The world feels tense, holding its breath as predator and prey meet in twilight's hush. A rustle nearby, then silence. A small reptile freezes, its chest fluttering. From above, talon-like jaws close around it, lifting it into the teeth of another. The moment is swift, almost soundless, yet the meaning is immense. Life is passing into life, energy moving from one body to another, the endless cycle of consumption that powers the world. This forgotten age is filled with such exchanges, each one invisible in the flow of time, yet together they build the story of evolution. Predators are not villains here. They are necessity, function, balance. Without them, prey would overrun the land. Without prey, predators would vanish. Together, they create a harmony, harsh yet essential. As night deepens, you hear a chorus of sounds. The croak of vast amphibians, the hiss of reptiles in the underbrush, the splash of unseen jaws meeting water. Stars appear above, but here below. The earth belongs to hunters and those who fear them. Their rhythm is steady, primal, older than any roar you might know. You let your eyes close for a moment, listening. The silence between calls is heavy. You sense the patience of hunters, the quick breaths of prey, the endless waiting. This is not yet the theater of dinosaurs, with thunder and spectacle. It is quieter, more intimate, more shadowed. It feels like the world is still rehearsing, still learning what it means to craft predator and prey. You think of the Gorgonopsid again, its saber teeth gleaming. You think of the armored reptile, its jaws lined with countless fangs. You think of the amphibian in the river, eyes breaking the surface in stillness. These creatures will vanish, their reigns short, their forms lost to extinction. Yet their role is not erased. They are the foundation upon which later predators will rise. They carve the stage, sharpen the tools, set the rhythm. Without them, there would be no future tyrants, no raptors, no mammalian hunters. Their shadows linger, stretching forward into ages you have yet to walk. You open your eyes again and see the land not as it is, but as it will be. The predators of this forgotten age are whispers of what is to come. The earth is still experimenting, still trying shapes of hunger, still writing the script of pursuit. And though they vanish, their lessons remain, etched into the bones of every creature that follows. A silence falls across the earth. Volcanoes darken the skies, oceans turn sour, and nearly every creature fades away. You move slowly through this ending, where forests collapse, seas empty, and only a fragile few survive. This is the Earth's darkest night, a hush before a new beginning. The world feels heavy now. The forests that once stretched wide and green begin to wither. The rivers carry ash, and the oceans swell with a bitter taste. Everywhere you walk, you sense endings. It's not just another extinction. It is the greatest one the Earth has ever known. A silence that almost erases the song of life itself. The air trembles with the growl of fire from deep within the planet. Vast volcanoes, larger than anything you have seen, roar for thousands upon thousands of years. They rise across what will one day be called Siberia, splitting the earth open, pouring rivers of lava that spread for miles. The land glows red, the skies thicken with smoke, and the world drowns in its own breath. You look upward. The sun, once golden, is dimmed by a veil of ash. The light is no longer gentle. It is thin, weak, filtered through a haze that stretches across continents. Plants wither first. Without light, they cannot weave food from the air. Forests, once lush, become pale and fragile. Leaves fall like tired whispers, carpeting the ground with silence. The chain begins to break. Herbivores, who depend on those plants, wander in confusion, bellies aching with hunger. Predators, in turn, follow them into emptiness, their sharp teeth no longer enough to win the battle against famine. The cycle of life slows, then falters, as though the earth itself has grown weary. You follow the rivers to the sea. At first, it seems calm, waves still rolling against the shore. But as you look deeper, you see the truth. The water darkens, thick with carbon and poison. Volcanoes have poured not just fire into the land, but gases into the sky: carbon dioxide, sulfur, toxins that seep into the ocean's heart. Oceans, once alive with corals and fish, grow sour. The water becomes acid, burning away shells, dissolving the delicate structures that so many creatures call home. Oxygen vanishes from the deep. The seas suffocate, turning into vast dead zones where nothing stirs. Close your eyes and imagine this emptiness. A reef, once brilliant with color, now bare. Fish that once darted like sparks of silver are now absent. A silence where once there was chorus. It is as if the ocean itself forgets its own heartbeat. On land, the silence grows as well. Gorgonopsids, the saber-toothed rulers of their age, stumble and vanish. Amphibians, once so abundant in rivers and swamps, collapse in number. Even the forests themselves, giant trees that towered above the ground, fall and do not rise again. The earth is unmaking its own tapestry dot. It is said that more than 90 out of every 100 species disappear in this time. A near total erasure. The earth feels almost empty, as if life itself has exhaled for the last time. You walk across a plain where bones lie scattered, sun-bleached and silent. The wind stirs, carrying dust instead of birdsong. It feels endless, this stillness, as though nothing will ever return. And yet, deep within the hush, something small remains. Not everything vanishes. Some creatures endure in shadows, hiding in burrows, clinging to scraps of food, surviving on patience. Small reptiles, their bodies light and adaptable, wait quietly. Insects, resilient and persistent, continue their soft hum. In the oceans, a few tough survivors hold on in shallow waters. Even as the deep goes dark, survival becomes not a matter of strength, but of endurance. The great hunters fall, the towering trees collapse, but the fragile ones, the overlooked ones, linger. It is in the cracks of catastrophe that new beginnings take root. You pause and listen. Even in this silence, life has not fully gone. It hides, like embers buried beneath ash, faint but glowing. Scientists will one day wonder what truly caused this great dying. The volcanic fires seem certain, spreading heat, gas, and poison across the planet. But perhaps there were other hands as well. Methane released from the sea floor, shifts in climate that spiraled out of control. A chain of disasters linked together like falling dominoes. For you, here in this moment, it feels less like science and more like grief. The earth itself is aching, groaning under the weight of change. It is not a single blow, not a sudden strike, but a long, slow unraveling. An age closing its eyes. You sit upon a stone and watch the horizon. The land is dark, the forests gone, the seas struggling to breathe. But the sky, even clouded, still holds a pale light. Even in endings, there are traces of continuation. The earth has faced hardships before. Ice ages that froze the world, collisions that scarred it. But never before has life itself come so close to vanishing. And never again, perhaps, will it? Come so close. The great dying is a night, vast and heavy. But nights do not last forever. Even the longest night gives way to dawn. You walk again, step by step, across the quiet plain. The bones beneath your feet are not just signs of loss. They are the soil of the future. From their decay will rise new forests. From their silence will come new songs. It will take millions of years. The earth heals slowly, almost reluctantly. But in time, green will return, seas will steady, and new creatures will test the boundaries of survival. The world is never the same after such an ending. Yet the very emptiness creates space for new forms to emerge. It is in this darkness that dinosaurs will one day rise. It is in this silence that mammals will one day take their first quiet steps. The emptiness is a wound, but also a canvas. You linger, letting the thoughts settle in your mind. Life is fragile, yes, but also persistent. Even when nearly erased, it does not vanish completely. It waits quietly, patiently, for the chance to bloom again. The great dying is not the end. It is a threshold. It is the earth pausing, breathing, before turning a page. And as you move through this silence, you feel the faint stirrings of what lies beyond. Not yet visible, but certain. Not yet loud, but inevitable. A new age waits in the wings. Out of ruin comes renewal. New reptiles rise from the quiet earth. Their footsteps light on the ash of vanished worlds. The stage is now ready for dinosaurs. But tonight you rest in the hush between eras, in the echo of creatures forgotten. By time, the silence after the catastrophe is strange. It does not fall all at once, but lingers like smoke in the air, drifting across valleys, sinking into oceans. The earth breathes slowly now, each exhale heavy, as if even the planet itself is tired. The great dying has ended, yet its shadow lingers. You walk across a land that still remembers. Ash lies in shallow layers across the ground and broken forests, lean like skeletons against the horizon. The rivers run, but they are quiet, carrying with them the remains of what once was. The air is warmer than before, heavy with greenhouse heat. And yet, here and there, you see signs that life, though scarred, has not surrendered. Small plants return first. Ferns, delicate and stubborn, push green spirals through cracks in the blackened soil. Their leaves unfurl slowly, like hands stretching toward faint light. They do not know despair. They only grow. And where plants return, animals follow. You notice footprints pressed into soft earth. Not the deep prints of giants. Those rulers are gone. Instead, you find lighter steps. Reptiles, small-bodied and sharp-eyed, moving swiftly between stones. And reeds. They do not roar. They do not dominate. They survive. These early reptiles are not dinosaurs yet. Their limbs splay partly to the side, their bodies low to the ground. They are cautious, clever, moving like shadows in a fragile world. You pause to watch one, its scales glint faintly. Its tail flicks with control, its eyes alert to every movement in the grass. It lives by patience, by adaptability, by fitting into the spaces left behind. The great dying has swept the stage nearly clean, and these creatures step forward to claim it. Not as kings, not yet, but as pioneers. You imagine the world as a theater. The curtain has just risen on a new act, but the stage is still bare, the air still heavy with the memory of tragedy. The first performers step lightly, tentative, there, roles not yet fully formed, and yet they will shape everything that follows. One of these survivors is Lystrosaurus, a small, sturdy creature with a blunt face and tusks like rounded tools. It is not elegant, not fierce, but it is resilient. It spreads across continents, one of the few to thrive when nearly all else has vanished. It eats what it can: roots, stems, the stubborn plants that grow in harsh soils. You watch it shuffle forward, its squat body moving with quiet determination. It is not beautiful, but it is a symbol. Life finding a way where so much has failed. Nearby, another kind of reptile rises, Archosaurs. Their very name means ruling reptiles, though they are not yet rulers. At first they are small, quick, and sharp-toothed. Some hunt insects, others stalk the few surviving amphibians, others simply wait for scraps. Their posture is different, more upright, their legs beginning to draw beneath their bodies rather than sprawling outward. This small shift is a seed, one that will grow into the towering forms of dinosaurs, crocodiles, and birds. You breathe slowly, watching them move. Each flick of a tail, each cautious step, each swallow of food feels like a promise whispered to. The earth, we will endure. We will rise. The air above you grows warmer. The volcanic fires of the past still ripple through the atmosphere, filling it with carbon, trapping heat. The world edges toward a hothouse climate: hotter seas, damp forests, deserts that expand across continents. For many creatures, it is difficult. For reptiles, it is an opportunity. Their scaly skin holds moisture. Their eggs survive better in the heat. Their bodies flourish in the sun. It is as if the earth is reshaping itself to favor them. Time passes. Here in quiet waves, millions of years drift like clouds, and with each passing age, life grows bolder. Small reptiles become larger. Some take to the rivers, their jaws lengthening, their bodies armored early shadows of crocodiles. Others grow taller, their legs straightening, their strides lengthening, early shadows of dinosaurs. None are yet the giants you expect, but you can see the outlines beginning to form, like sketches before a painting. You sit in the hush of this time and wonder at the rhythm of survival. The earth does not rush. It allows eras to unfold slowly, like pages turned by a patient hand. What seems sudden in memory is, in truth, gradual and orchestra tuning before the first note. You imagine walking through the forests that rise again. They are not the same as before. The giant lycopods and towering horsetails have mostly faded. In their place come conifers, trees with needles instead of leaves, cones instead of flowers. They stretch upward, steady and strong, their roots deep. They will be the backdrop for the reign of reptiles. Insects return as well, buzzing in the warm air, though they are no longer the giants of earlier ages. They are smaller now, lighter, their wings flickering like whispers of silk. Dragonflies dart between trees. Beetles crawl across bark. The world feels alive again, though quieter, more cautious. Predators emerge too. Not yet dinosaurs, but close fleet-footed hunters with teeth like knives, bodies built for pursuit. They chase across the underbrush, their calls sharp in the still air. Prey runs, predators follow, and the cycle of life begins once more. You feel relief in this, even knowing how fragile it remains. The earth has come close to silence, but silence has not won. You kneel beside a pool of water, watching small reptiles drink from its edge. Their reflections ripple outward, broken by the wind. You realize that each tiny movement, each sip, is part of a greater recovery. Life does not return in explosions. It returns in ripples. The age of dinosaurs is not yet here, but you can feel its approach, like distant thunder before a storm. The survivors are shaping themselves, step by step, into forms that will one day tower, fly, and dominate. It is not visible in any single moment, but when you step back, when you view the passage of millions of years, the pattern becomes clear. From ashes, the earth is preparing giants. You close your eyes for a moment and listen. The air hums softly with insects. Leaves rustle. Far off, a reptile calls. It is not silent anymore. It is the sound of beginnings. The great dying has passed, leaving scars. But those scars are not empty. They are the cracks through which light enters, through which life seeps back into the world. You feel it in every rustle, every footprint, every breath of warm wind. This is not yet the age of thunder lizards. This is the rehearsal. This is the quiet prelude. But without this prelude, the song could not follow. You rise and take one last look across the land. It feels both wounded and hopeful, broken yet alive. The creatures before you are not yet the legends of later ages, but within them, the possibility already stirs. In the hush between eras, the earth waits. And so do you. And so, our journey through the deep shadows of time comes to a gentle close. We have wandered together through forgotten oceans, watched armored fish glide in silence, and glimpsed the terrifying giants that ruled long before dinosaurs ever set foot upon the earth. It is humbling to remember how many worlds have come and gone, how many rulers have risen, only to fade into silence. Each creature we met tonight was part of the great experiment of life, a reminder that our planet has always been a place of change, of endings, and new beginnings. As you rest now, let these ancient stories drift with you, like soft echoes carried on the tide of time. The earth is vast, its history deep, and what we explored tonight is only the beginning. There are still countless mysteries waiting, countless forgotten creatures calling to be remembered. If you enjoyed this journey into Earth's hidden past, I kindly invite you to support this channel. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with a friend who loves science and stories, and leave a comment below. I'd love to know which creature you found the most haunting or fascinating. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, so you'll always be here when the next chapter of our journey begins. For now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the ancient rhythms of the earth guide you into a peaceful night. Until next time, sleep well and dream of forgotten worlds.